was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine, hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rap attack, Mr. Magic Marley Marl.
Yeah, that book was definitely tough.
Yeah, because I read a lot of psychology books, like just off of self-awareness. Like like I'm a business major, but psychology that go hand in hand with business. So
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. My interest in psychology is, you know, it really came from like an interaction that I had with somebody through dance. You know, I teach dance and choreography, and so like one of the students at the time at the church that I was teaching at, because I teach dance and mime and things like that. So was an autistic kid named Shaq. Never forget him. I still talk to him to this day. And he don't even realize how much he really like shaped and changed my life. You know, but he was. You know, he was so influenced, you know, by me and things like that, but he don't even realize that, you know, after knowing him for 3 years and seeing his progression, you know, through not only in dance, but through, you know, him being able to speak to me and, you know, formulate sentences and like, you know, really open up and be able to have a conversation with me. That really made me not want to go into law, which what I was going to get my psychology to go into law school. Then I was like, nah, I want psychology because I think there's something intimate between dance and people with mental disorders, and specifically autism. So I mean, that really piqued my interest in psychology because like even if it's not a cause and effect, there's some type of correlation or something, some type of relationship.
Yeah, it's good. Like just encountering like what the minds of the people, like why they do the things that they do or what they love. Like I don't know. I get a natural high when it comes to psychology too, because it's like it's always something to learn about either yourself or the people around you. Yeah. Like I get you though.
And so really, I can say this kind of we can kind of dive into kind of how I came up.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. I want you to go ahead, like, what's your backstory, what's your background, like how you came up, even the struggles, whatever.
For sure. All right, so I'll say I'm from Durham, North Carolina. Proud of it. You know, every other picture I'm throwing at the bull. You feel me? Like I'm telling you, I'm proud of. You know, it's been some crazy things that's happened in Durham, you know, historically, but I'm proud of it because of the culture. You know, some of the best people I know, most loyal people I know has been here. You know, some of the encounters are timeless. You know, I can remember plenty of times where people who didn't even know me looked out for me, like just looked out for me. You know, I can remember just being in Durham, about to order some McDonald's, a little kid, somebody behind me like, nah, you don't gotta pay for that. Stay in school, boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? Like,
why you think, is it like because of your rap? Like it's because of how you carry yourself or what?
Honestly, like when I was a kid, I would go into fast food restaurants with that expectation. Like, bros, you know what? This might be the day somebody pay for my meal. You know, I'll be able to pocket this money. And so I feel like that expectation, the power and the power behind that expectation, really what causes it to happen. You know, because I put my faith on it. And so you know, I believe that faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. So it's like,
explain that.
So, I gotta breeze through that. But it's a scripture, and so in Hebrews, and it's basically saying faith is the substance of things hoped for. Yeah. So it's as if you can hold hope in your hand. That is faith. You know, what is the substance of things hoped for. And then it's the evidence of things not seen. So now it's like, I haven't seen it, but because I have faith, it's evidence that it can happen or that it will happen. It hasn't happened yet, but my faith is the evidence that it will happen. The fact that I walk in a certain way, the fact that I walk into McDonald's thinking that somebody's going to pay for it is the evidence that somebody's going to pay for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what I believe. And so which, you know, directly correlates with how I came up. You know, I came up PK, you know, as you can see by the
How was that pressure though?
Whew. I'm going there. I'm going. That's the next. I'm going there. Like, I promise you. So I grew up at PK. The pressure was. I can explain it like this. The pressure was unrealistic. Like the pressure was. It's like unrealistic expectations, and then it's like. Then I felt like I was like I've stripped of the opportunity to make mistakes, because I see mistakes as an opportunity to learn. But when you put so high expectations on a kid, it's like you robbing him of that opportunity to embrace the mistake and learn from it.
Yeah, you trying to be so perfect.
But like when you trying to, and it could cause you to rebel.
Yeah,
that's why you hear the whole saying is, oh, PK's the word, you know, all this thing. But it's really because the external pressure, you know, really feeds an internal battle. So like that external pressure like really feeds this internal battle within you. Like, yo, am I really not enough? And then some people just say, bro, forget it. Like, I'm just do what I want now. Everybody already expecting me to do bad, or they expecting me to do super good.
Yeah.
I can't never learn from my mistakes. And then some people just, you know, give up. That's how you see people who are, you know, top of the charts in the gospel world, and then you see their kids, you're like, wait, how did that? Because the pressure, honestly, the pressure from people outside. And so, you know, one thing that I don't think people realize is like, even though my peoples was a pastor, and they still are pastors now, I had to choose the faith myself. Other people, it kind of blows by. It's like, oh, you're raised up that way. But how many of us are raised up in the church and don't stay in the church, though? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, no, you choose whether you're going to stay in this faith or not. You choose whether the unanswered questions are things you're going to seek out, or are the unanswered questions enough to make you just leave? You choose, you weigh that battle yourself.
Yeah.
You know, some people's like, look, y'all got to answer for some stuff now that I'm older. I listened to it when I was younger, but now I don't really know what y'all meant by that. And
but
so,
you got your own mind.
yeah, and so there are some people who like, look, if y'all can't tell me everything, then I got to bounce. Now other people is like, look, I understand y'all can't tell me everything, but I'm gonna go try to, you know, find it in myself.
Yeah.
And that's where, that's kind of how it was. But I say, man, the pressures was tough for me, especially like from teachers in school
Ooh, I ain't even think of that. Yeah, so they like, I know they was giving you a reminder everything you did.
Yeah, everything I did, and then telling my classmates who my parents was, and then I just found out when I was in grad school last semester that like legally teachers not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to disclose personal information about students. And so it's under the because I'm like, oh, y'all messed up. Y'all teaching me the what teachers supposed to go by, you know. It's just,
use that against you.
and so I'm like, oh, okay. So I asked my professor, I'm saying, all teachers got to follow this APA ethics code? He's like, all teachers at every level. I was like, wow. It was under the section, I'll never forget it, because it was just so personal to me. It's called Accuracy in Teaching and the APA ethics code. Anybody can go look it up and look, and you cannot disclose personal information. It's right there. I'm like, boy, that's been my whole life. Like, every teacher's been telling me who my parents was, and you know, and things like that. And so with that pressure, now I'm getting pressure from the teachers. I'm getting pressure from the students. And so, and you know, there are some students who, like, because, because, you know, you got that image, they'll like be there, and it'll kind of be, it's weird because it'll feel like they trying to help you out, but really they trying to push you further to that left side. It's like,
like you gotta be perfect, like
and like some would be the opposite, where they'll come and they'll be like, hey yo, like, you know, don't listen to them. Like, you might as well wild out, since they already expecting that. And so now it's the choice, like where, what voice you gonna listen to?
Was that like bullying though? Did it feel like you was being bullied in a way?
Oh, for sure, yeah. But it felt like I was being bullied from adults. Like, you feel me? The biggest peer pressure I felt was really from adults, and I was a kid. And I was like, and so that really, especially somebody, me being competitive and emotional, and that, like, sometimes that'll drive me to, And so, I just when I was a kid, I just want to do what I want and do what I love to do. Yeah. And it's like, it was sometimes where they realized, like, oh, it's not like he's not getting the material, but he has so much energy that I put all my energy to my work. Once I'm done with my work, then, well, I'm walking around the class. I'm trying to talk to people. It's he ain't, it's like, sure, I'm disrupting the class, but my character isn't disruptive. My character is actually focused. I actually got my stuff done before anybody else. But it's like you brush past that to look at the behavior. And so
you already had a reputation before you even stepped out. It's
exactly. I didn't even get to build. I didn't even get to, y'all didn't even get to know me myself. So it's like I'm already in the eyes of you. Once you see I have behavior issues, I'm already in somewhat of a failure to you. Because you put an unrealistic expectation on me before I even got a chance to even show you my character, show you what I'm dealing with. You dealing with something, that's something you need to tighten up on as an adult. And I come in as a kid, and you ain't gonna give me that same leeway. That's, Yeah. And so, really, but I always been like super creative. And so, as I got older, teachers started to see, because then they finally, I ended up being able to mime at the school, and they saw me dance for the first time, and it was like, whoa. So dancing is your therapy, your getaway, and explain that, man. Go. Yes, sir.
Express yourself with that.
I mean, dance is therapy. It was reassuring because it feels like almost on every level of my life that people counted me out until something to do with art came around. And then they were like, oh, you can do that.
So you were being heard, basically.
So like, honestly, or like knowing like, yo, this kid is more than just his behavior. There's a creativity to him that's not like nobody else. There's a passion to him. Like, a lot of it is just passion is energy that was bottled up. It's like, y'all need, like, I just need more ways to express myself. Being in a book. And that's why over time you started seeing, like, they start changing the way they teach. And it's like, I was kind of on that back end where it's like a lot of stuff was just not really interactive and stuff like that. And that just wasn't gonna work for me. So it seemed like I was being disruptive, but I was getting frustrated because, everything was white and black. Like, nothing was, interactive. So that was kind of a thing, man, where I really had to, really ask myself a lot, like, am I who people want me to be, or do I have a chance to create my own character? Do I have a chance to find out who I am, or do I have to just listen to everybody else who tell me what I am? And so, just to go back to so dance was kind of a escape from that. It was, but not too much, because my dad danced too. My dad was a pastor, but he had got into mime. That's how I got into mime. And my mom danced too. Before
Oh, you see a bloodline.
So so it's like the dance still went back. It was still, but I'd rather you compare me to my parents who are dancers than my parents who are pastors, because the expectation is different, totally different. And so it's just anything creative. I just found as I started going up, like, I got into middle school and we started getting into poetry, and it was just like maybe 5th grade we had an assignment to do for poetry, and it was just like easy. Like, I was like, yo, this is an assignment? Just make the words rhyme and make it like make sense. And it was easy. And it was like a whole thing that we were learning about poetry. So we had to do poetry over an amount of time And boy, homework ain't never been so easy. I was just like, boom.
The whole time you already had the talent, but it was like you was perfecting the craft at the same time.
Yeah, it was like me realizing that I have a talent because you put me in they put me in another creative space, because I realized that like you have gifts within gifts. So I feel like that I don't just have a gift of dance, but I was given the gift of creativity, just creativity and innovation. Like, I'm a creator. There's something to create, I can create it. And then from that you have dance. Okay, I create choreography. Then you have poetry, and you create poetry. You know, then you have stuff that comes under that gift. It's all on the branch of creativity though. So then I got into poetry. I'm like, whoa, I like this, because then then you saying it doesn't matter what we write about, or it'll be some free writes. Well, I'm like, so you saying it doesn't matter what we write about, you know, as long as it's appropriate and it rhymes? That means I could really tell you how I've been feeling, but it's an assignment, so you gotta listen to me. So poetry was my.
So yeah, you took advantage of that.
Oh yeah. So I was like, oh, poetry, this my stage. Yeah. Cause if I say it to you in a regular conversation, you may think I'm being disrespectful, but I could paint a picture through poetry. Yeah. And then you like, man, he got a point. You know. Yeah. And so poetry really became like a real way that I escaped, especially once I started exploring it more. Yeah. I was like, yeah, yo, this is crazy. Like, and so I started getting into that and dancing. You know, just like so many stuff that was just what I realized was really under the umbrella of creativity. And so,
did you ever start getting like spoken word? Like when you start doing spoken word when it came to poetry?
Really, my first time doing a spoken word was at Central, at North Carolina Central University for it was like we had to do something creative whenever, and it's crazy because even when I would be off and I wouldn't be, you know, my pen still wouldn't be, you know, going for real, because I kind of like stopped writing for a while, especially when I get busy. There'll always be a time where it's like an assignment where it's like, do something creative. And from high school, all the way into college, like, I'd always be like, oh, poetry. Because it was just something, it was almost as if I was like, almost took it for granted to a certain extent. Because I knew I could just pick up the pen, and then when I wrote it, everybody was going to feel it. Like, you know, and so my first time saying it out loud was like in height was for assignments. That same like cycle continued. The first one was for assignments, and it just like really continued. But the first one that I did like really outside of having to do an assignment was probably like right before the pandemic hit, like in January 2020. I did my first time doing a spoken word like on a mic. Yeah.
How did it feel? Cause you know a lot of people, they get frightened on stage in front of people.
Yeah, but see, I've been dancing in front of people for a while.
Yeah, so you already had the.
But it was different though, cause I was up there. I wasn't dressed how I usually dress. I was in my normal clothes. It was putting a mic in my hand. It's a different, you know what I'm saying? So you get up there, and it's like the people don't make you nervous. The moment make you nervous. So I didn't care about people looking at me, because I'm used to people looking at me. The moment was important though. Yeah. Because it's like, this is the first time I'm revealing this gift to even family members who were there in the crowd, who didn't even know I wrote, didn't even know I did poetry at all. So they hear it, they like, I didn't even know. A lot of people didn't even know I was gonna be on the program, because you know, it was my brother's event, so everybody would just come there. They didn't even know that I was gonna be one of the artists. And so I come up, and so I do feel a nervousness, but as soon as I start talking, when we go away, I feel like I'm, and you know, I felt like I was like, yo, I'm here, like, you know, in that moment I felt like, yo, this was this is what I'm supposed to be. Like this feel like me. It just feel like a me I ain't tapped into. But
comfortable. So you was comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Another element out of it. I feel that.
I try to make that a habit with anything.
Yeah, that's growth.
Yeah.
That's growth. Got to.
Everything uncomfortable. One of my mentors broke it down to me like this, and it was like your perspective got to change as you elevate. How you see certain stuff, how you see people got to change as you elevate. So you think about this scenario when you're on the plane. You get on the plane, once you start going up, the people that you once saw at a level, once you get on this certain plane and it's ready for growth, you see them different and different as you go up. And as you continue to look down, things that you thought were as big as you become as tiny as little ants, you know? Things that you thought was so big, as you start to grow, you like, whoa, that's not even that big. That's not even that big. And then to get to a point where you're so much that you only got time to see it. You know, you somewhere in the clouds where your whole world that you thought was important, and you get to that point, even like mentally, I'm thinking creatively, I get to this creative space where I'm like, you know, cruising in the clouds, and it's like the whole world, you're still there, you're just not where I am right now. Gotcha. But just even to go back to the you know, analogy, as you grow, your perspective changes. As you go up physically, your perspective changes. If you were able to fly right now, as you go up, we would look a lot different as you went up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so I think it's the same thing with growing, you know, regular. Like one situation that made you mad, as you grow, that situation can't affect you the same.
Crazy. I always tell myself, like, even when I'm going through stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like a year from now or even months from now, that same problem, same struggle won't even be the same. It won't even, I feel like you said, it won't even affect you. Yeah. Like just look at it like that, being optimistic like that, yeah, can keep you afloat. You know what I'm saying? Keeps you going. But yeah, man. Yeah.
So I'll say, man, like, but
for the inspiration, like you said your parents basically bloodline when it comes to choreography, when it comes to dance.
Yeah.
Was they proud of you, like from drifting off? Because you know that's a side that they put their fears on you when it came to you putting more energy into that more than, you know, following their footsteps, being passes. Was they proud of you, or like how was that? How did they react when you wanted to express yourself more with dance?
Well, yeah, they were proud because, I mean, who I was trying to be like was my dad. So, and as I got better and better, I just looked more and more like my dad. Even as I grew up, I looked more like, if my dad walked in here, you'd be like, yo, that's your twin, like with a different haircut. You know, so they were definitely proud. I said one thing I commend my parents on is they gave me room, even when other people didn't give me room to make mistakes, they gave me room to make mistakes. And they gave me room to do, you know, what I like. He gave me the room to have experiences, and, you know, and their faith was so, you know, really rooted in God that they're like, look, God's gonna protect them, but we're not gonna try to overly shield him from the world, which is gonna cause more damage. Yeah. Then we robbing him of experience and learning for himself. Ain't nothing like you going through it for yourself. So, you know, I say I don't have when it comes to my experiences, you wouldn't think the experiences that I went through is that of a PK, you know? Because, and I'm grateful for my parents for allowing me to have certain experiences and allowing me to really see, like, yo, what lives I don't want to live, and what lives I do want to live.
Learn from their mistakes and everything. Gotcha.
And so, like, you know, when I was in middle school, people started going to parties, and I was like, yo, I want to go to a party. Like, I want to see, you know, whatever. And so they let me go to parties, you know, and then I remember talking to them like, yo, like, my older brother be listening to da-da-da-da-da, like.
Oh, so you were easing your way in.
Yeah, so like, I'm like, well, you know, my older brother, he be listening to this, and he got this on his MP3. I want this on my MP3. And so they was like, okay, you know, because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, if you don't put on my MP3, I'm just gonna watch it on YouTube anyway. And they knew that. So it's like, might as well just put it on this MP3, you know?
Right.
You know, so it's like, stuff like that, you know, I commend them for like doing stuff like that. And so they really made the pressure of everybody else better based on just how they like parented and stuff.
Yeah.
But
when it comes to, I seen on your IG, you said, focus, one of your captions said, focus on the individual, not your destination. Explain that.
Focus on the individual and not your destination.
Yeah.
So it's a couple different ways that could be interpreted. So focusing on your individual, like focusing on yourself, because sometimes we can get so like caught up with where we're going,
Yeah.
that we negate where we are right now. So like I use this, like, so say I'm walking down the street and I'm trying to get to this gas station, but I stay looking at the gas station and I walk across the street, probably gonna get hit by a car. Why? Because my eye's still in the gas station. My eye's not in what's in front of me to get to the gas station.
Step by step.
So it's like, you gotta focus on, have a goal of where you wanna go, but also it's like, let me work on what's in front of me. What's in my hands? What's gonna help me get to the gas station? I got a GPS, I got a phone, I got a GPS. What's gonna help me? What do I have in my hands? What do I already have? And so focus on the individual is like, look within yourself for the answers first. Because most times, everything you need to get to your destination, you already got. But if you're so busy trying to move and look at your destination, then you can end up getting hit by something you ain't see coming. But if you was focusing on what, you know, you was focusing on you was focusing on, hey, let me cross the street first. Boom, let me walk down. Let me make sure, let me look down in front of my feet, make sure I ain't stepping over nothing. You know, let me make sure that in order to get to this place, I don't gotta let go of this childhood trauma. You know, let me make sure I can step around what I've seen happen to my parents. Let me make sure I can, before I try to rush my way to this destination, let me make sure I can get there in one piece. Let me make sure I don't mess up the destination because I ain't dealt with everything that I need to deal with to get there. So that's kind of like, you know, how I see it. Like, don't focus so much on there that you about kill yourself trying to get there.
Yeah.
Because what use are you gonna be to where you wanna be if you ain't whole?
Yeah.
If you want a certain status, if you wanna work a place, or, you know, if you have a dream job, what use is you at your dream job if you're not as fully capable as you could be when you get there? How long is that dream job gonna last?
Right.
Not long.
That's like the message for like people that with the get money fast scheme and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, you know, I never, you know, I didn't have some people in my inner circles at times, like, who really want money and things like that. And I can't knock them, man, because, I mean, money solves problems.
Yeah, yeah.
Money give you problems, but, you know, people say more money, more problems, but, hey, more money, more ways to solve problems. Look, you got some more ways to solve problems when you got some money. Now, you got more problems, but you also got some more ways to solve them, though. You know, don't forget about that part. But, I definitely have like, you know, seen some people who was, you know, anxious about money. All the people who got money, paced their way to get there. All the ones that rushed it, you know, that was searching for that counterfeit version, you know, or that was looking for, you know, that easy way.
Crash out early.
Yeah, and they got it for a while, and then boom, something happened.
And they not disciplined enough to maintain it. Yeah. When it comes to you're a man of your faith.
For sure.
When it comes to recognizing the enemy, did you ever realize like who the enemy?
You said recognize the enemy?
Yeah.
As far as in what context do you mean?
And like life, just somebody in the way of your progress.
Yeah. I'll say the first enemy I gotta recognize is myself. First enemy I gotta recognize is myself, because I'm my biggest success and my biggest failure. That's how I feel. There's a version of myself who's already everything I want to be right now at 21.
Yeah.
And then there's another version of myself who's everything I don't want to be right now at 21. And so my biggest enemy is like things like laziness and not really taking initiative. There's certain stuff like, honestly, I don't feel like nobody, no person or situation can stop me when I'm motivated. Like when I'm locked in, it ain't nothing I can't do. Very seriously, ain't nothing I can't do. I can literally, I feel like I can run through a wall and not touch it if I'm motivated to do that. I feel like when I'm fully locked in and motivated, there's nothing I can't do, because when I'm fully locked in and motivated, I'm patient. A patient man can succeed in any area.
Yeah.
A patient man, there's no limits to a patient man. Ain't no limits to a patient man. So that's what I started to realize. Even like my patience has been tested so many different times. Every time I try to remind myself, like, yo, a patient man is a successful man. Like a lot of people who get success the fast way don't know how to maintain. Like you were saying, they don't know how to maintain it. Because but if you work your way up to success, then you got there are certain failures that you can pull from to not make, again.
And you can lose it, and you can get it right back.
Yeah, and so really success is not even a dollar amount, but it's like a mentality, just like poverty. I always say poverty, it's more of a mindset than a socioeconomic status. It's more so of a mindset. There's people.
That's true, because you don't have to be the product of your environment.
I've known people who grew up Section 8, started businesses, doing well. Or went to school, got a degree, doing well. Or didn't go to school, started a business making 6 figures.
See?
It's like mindset.
Yeah.
Your mindset. It's like, do you think of yourself? I feel like it also has something to do with self-love too.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like you deserve to wear a suit? Do you feel like a suit is too? There's people out there who feel like, well, I need to wear a suit.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's not even the fact about a suit. It's like, but do you feel like you could do that? And so it's just certain stuff. It's like, can you see yourself like that? I'll say in middle school and stuff, there are some times where if we had to dress up, I'd always make sure I dressed up. Put on that.
Yeah, put that on.
That's that Sunday's best fit,
Yeah.
And the reason and then there'll be some times where any slightest excuse I dress up because I just felt it's all about how you feel.
That's what I feel that because I dress up to make myself feel good.
Yeah. And it's whatever your dress up is, but it's do you feel successful? Sometimes I just one random day just put on a suit and kind of in high school, I just throw on a suit and come. People's like, what you got today? I'm just like,
I just feel it.
just like I feel like dressing up today. And it's like, boom, like people like, do you have a meeting? And I'm like, this is why I dressed up. Your questions is why I dressed up. When I dress, like when you change your appearance, then people look at you in a different regard. And sometimes you need that reminder. That a quick change can change how people view you. So changing your appearance, just to make that analogy, changing your appearance isn't always your physical appearance. Changing your appearance could be things about your personality and things like that. And so if you can really fine tune your personality to a way that you are like not really accepted, but you're able to communicate with a variety of people, then it's like you step into rooms and they're like, they start asking you questions like you're wearing a suit. You ain't got to be wearing a suit, but they notice the change.
Yeah, even they approach you different. Like a wise man told me before, he was like, dressed to be addressed. So you dressed up suit, they be like, okay, yes sir. They treat you with respect. It's crazy how that magnetic effect, just like that. But yeah.
And I feel like I changed so much, mentally since high school. Like it's people, some of my closest friends have been knowing me since like 5th grade. I recently catched up with one of my closest friends, and we was chopping it up. We've been real close in like 5th grade. Kind of fell off. We both went to college and stuff, but always still tight. But it just kind of fell off just a little bit. And we had a chance to catch up before Christmas break, and she was just like wow by like some of the stuff that I've been doing. She was like, man, the last time we had talked, man, you didn't know what you wanted to do with your life. Like, what happened? Like, so she just wanted to say, like, what was the mental switch? And she was mostly talking about, like, education. And I was like, her name Jasmine. I said, Jazz, I realized that them people weren't smarter than me. I realized, like, I went to early college at Central and then came to Central, right? And so early college, it was like, I ain't gonna lie, there's a lot of smart people there. But then I realized, I was like, Jazz, they not smarter than me. Like, I know they getting higher grades than me, but it's not they just super smarter than me. I'm like, Jazz, they just take school more seriously than I do.
Ooh. Yeah.
like Jazz, I came to I said, Jazz, they not really smarter than me. They not. It's like, but they putting in the work. And I'm chilling when I get to the crib. I'm going to Hillside. I'm hanging out at Hillside. They ain't my school, but it's like, yo, it's about to this day. I still be claiming Hillside. Knowing I went to early college. But at all the games, did a community service program there and everything. Like, yo, if you, like, a lot of people at Hillside thought I went there. I catch the bus to Hillside and just hang out at the school. Because early college, it was early college, so we didn't really get too much of a social experience. We had no basketball team, football team, nothing. It was like, you here for education.
Yeah, straight.
So I kind of go to Hillside. But I was talking to her like, yo, I realized, like, they ain't smarter than me.
Yeah. Life is the best teacher.
And so I realized that, and I was like, boom, it's a switch. So I was like, what they doing? They studying when they get home. That's why they doing better than you at tests. So go study. You don't like it, find something you like. Started getting the flashcards. I'm like, all right, flash. Then I started, I'm creative. And so I started remembering. And so knowing yourself is going to really help you succeed. Because I was like, well, I know I'm creative. So boom, let me go pick up some highlighters. Let me color code some stuff. And I see that as fun, creative.
And really give you a focus in mind when you
I was like, So I go through. To this day, I still do this in grad school. I'm like, all right, what are the main topics? Highlight that in yellow. Then it's like, all right, come back. What are the, most important things under those main topics? Highlight them in orange. And then what are the things that you, when you study, that you are most likely to forget? Highlight them in blue. And then boom, when you're going through, you're reading it different. And you see that blue, you lock into it. Boom, boom, boom.
Color code.
So it's like, what you usually forget when you're not in front of that paper, it's gonna be there, and that end up what I see on the test is I end up what I highlight in blue would be end up what I get the most stuff right on, because that's the ones I'll really lock in, the stuff I forget. But you know, certain stuff like that, like I was like, yo, knowing myself, putting in the work, and that's what changed. That's literally, I was like, yo, that's what they was doing. Like they were just studying, they were just, you know, they just took school seriously. They just understood that school could open up doors for you for where you want to go, and that like you can really learn and like do something with that, and people hire you for what you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, cool. All right, then I'll study too. Like I just had to change my perspective, and so that's kind of what I told her. I was like, look, I realized that it's not that I had a hard time retaining the information. I had a hard time, you know, putting in the work to keep the information. Cause I get it when when you telling me, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It always made sense to me, but like for me to just like really know. So like, yeah, that was one thing that that stuck out as far as in education recently.
Gotcha. When you're I seen on Instagram, you in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I seen how you said you was like, your mother was your influence of picking the right, holding a female to a high standard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like explain that. Like you was like you basically, yeah, you just hold females to a high standard when it comes to choosing the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot, let me take my jacket off. Just to all the men, especially young black men, I feel like every black man needs to hear this, that it's important to have standards. Like, it's important for you to have standards. Like, I feel like women is not the only people that's supposed to bring standards to a relationship. But I say women is constantly told, hey, you know, have standards, don't just pick anybody, but men, have standards. You know,
Wow.
And so when I looked at even my mom and things like that, some things that, you know, she did for my dad, and things like that, I see like, you know, her character, I was just like, yo, I want, you know, a lot of things my mom did, I was like, yo, I want that. And that it became a standard. And then there are certain things that, you know, because me and my dad look the same, but there are certain different things that we like. So as I continue to discover myself, I discovered that some things that would really fit me as far as a woman, like will fit me for the woman I want. So what would fit me, you know, me and a woman being together, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna need X, Y, Z, you know, something like, because it's gonna be catered to things that I'm insecure about, things that, you know, like the real things, that's what I'm really, you know, picking a woman based off of. And so, really that just really went to say for men to have standards. You know, I say there's a difference between preferences and standards. Preferences, and it's just a little controversial, but like once you get mature as a man, you realize that preferences are not standards. They're not final. Preferences are not final. Preferences are not non-negotiable. Standards are non-negotiable. Preferences is things that you would like. Standards are things that you must have. You must have. That are must-haves for me. So there's a lot of preferences, but will I let my preferences make me miss out on the woman of my dreams? Absolutely not. I will not. If you meet my standards, because my standards are also specific. So what I've seen is usually with people with weak standards have a lot of preferences. So what happens is them preferences, because to balance out the list, them preferences get mixed in with the standards. and then boom, now we got a real list. But their standards is really like very baseline. Love me, loyal.
That's it.
That's it. Really. Love me, loyal. And in the prefaces, feel the rest. But you gotta love me, you gotta be loyal. Communication is key. Like, you know, some stuff like that. But it's like, honestly, communication is key. Comprehension is key. But I don't think people really know what it means when you say communication is key.
Like understand, you said comprehension.
Yeah, like communication is key, but also how you communicate is key. It's not just communication. Me yelling at you and throwing something is still communication. Threatening non-verbal communication is still communication. Communication is not just key. How I communicate is key. Communicating respectfully is key. Communicating where the person can understand is key. Communication is key is too broad. And so I see it a lot. I see it a lot on social media. I just keep scrolling because I'm like, sure, communication is key. But it's like, okay, communication is key for every type of language. Communication is key. So that's such a broad statement for an important relationship. And that kind of like goes to show like, yo, do we really take relationships seriously? Because communication is key, boom. But like, if we have nobody holding us accountable with how we communicate, rather our communication comes off respectfully to the other person. Not if you're used to talking like that and you always been talking like that, so you're gonna keep talking like that. Not talking about that. I'm talking about do your partner. There's plenty of times where I'll say something that's been respectful to every other person I've ever said it to.
That's true. And then the tone, they be like the tone.
Yeah. Then I said it to my girlfriend, and she's like, nah, not with me. I'm like, that won't even towards you. Like, this was supposed to be like a, you know? And so you're like, nah, just, you know. And so then it's like, that's where the maturity come in. Is it gonna be like, well, that's just how I talk? Or is it gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna try my best not to address you in that way.
Gotcha.
And so, you know, that's kind of how I feel about that. And so, basically, men need to have standards, man. Men need to have standards, especially black men, because, you know, I see a lot of stuff, and I really don't like when, you know, black people bring down other black people. But, you know, it really pinches a nerve when I see, like, black men bringing down black women. Because, you know, I feel like the world is already bringing down black women.
Exactly.
Because they're a woman and they black, you know? Double minority. You know, it's so much about women that even men don't fully understand because we don't experience the things they experience. We don't go through the stuff they go through. You know? So we can't never fully understand a woman because we're not a woman. So it's like we gotta be patient and even understand women. So to even put so much judgment on somebody of your own, you know, knowing everything that black people went through, things like that, just to put that level of judgment on a black woman, it's just I can't see no respect in that. But yeah, that's my spill on that.
That's a good breakdown, bro.
Yeah.
But now, like, so how do you play a part in the community? How you play a part in leadership? Guys, you can go one by one. We can talk about community first. Like, how do you contribute to the community?
Well, right now I actually just started this within the last couple of days, and it's the Cover the City initiative. Basically, a community service initiative that's targeting the homeless community. Me personally, I've always been just very passionate about the homeless community. You know, even when I was a kid, if I had a little, you know, kids don't got money, but even if I had a little couple dollars that in my pocket, you know, I'd walk by and I'd give it to them. I was like 6, 7 years old. Give it to a homeless person. It's just my heart was just always for homeless because I'm like, dang, I'm about to go home to a house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just $3. I don't know what this $3 mean to you, but I know what my crib mean to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm about to go back to that. I'm about to go back to parents who gonna take care of me the next day. I'm not about to have to pay for no breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever these next days. I'm young, but I don't know what this $3 gonna do for your life. So I'm just gonna get that to you.
Yeah. That made you more appreciative, like.
Yeah, man, like what? That made me more appreciative. And my dad would talk to me about, the homeless community as well, which made me like, even more want to look out for them. And so, basically, my dad would put it in a way to where I didn't feel like to make sure that I didn't think I was better than nobody that was homeless. Because it's like every person that was homeless ain't always been homeless.
Right. That's true.
It's like there are some people who are homeless right now that at one point you would have been asking them for money. Like it's some homeless people that was up at one point, super up. And so I'd say the homeless community has always been something close to me. So this Cover the City initiative is just like the weather been crazy in North Carolina, so it's like buying blankets, covers, things like that. People have been donating stuff, so I really appreciate everybody that's been donating. But yeah, bro, that's been something I've been wanting to do for a while, and it's always been an idea, kind of been held up, but boom, I'm on it now. It's just like I'm gonna just do it, step out in faith and just do it. And so that's something I do for the community. Every Monday at 10:30, I do what is called a community prayer call, and so people could just hop on, get a scripture-based devotion. They submit their prayer requests while they on. Boom, I pray for them, and then we out of here.
Is it on like a Zoom?
Yeah, it's on Zoom. Yeah.
Okay, I'm about to say.
You used to do that last year.
Yeah.
During I remember going to one of your meetings.
Really? Yeah. Did it last year, especially when I did a big one when it was like the race riots and things like that. Right after
the Black Lives Matter,
George Floyd, all that stuff. That it was So that was probably the one. That was the one where I had the most people show up because the world just needed that. The world needed hope. They just needed prayer. So I think like 55 people jumped on. It was on an actual phone call though. It's before I switched it to Zoom. I switched it to Zoom because I wanted to make it more of a discussion. Any chance I get, I try to eliminate myself in any type of hierarchy. So if you think that I'm above you in some type of way because I can mime, I can dance good, or because my spoken word is like this, or because I'm talented in this, I chop it down. And so I just wanted to interact with people more. And I was like, I want to see the faces of people that's getting on. And so sure, my numbers may go down, but I want you to know that what I'm saying is genuine. I want you to know the energy that I put into it. I want you to be able to look me in my face and like, yo, he mean what he said. He not just saying this for formality. He not just doing this prayer call for him to look good, but he actually care about me starting my week good, So yeah, that's some stuff I do.
That'll take a long way. That'll take a long way. People, you might be talk generations just by doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
real
dope, bro. That's real dope. Where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? Just end it off with that, bro.
5 years from now, 5 years from now, graduated from school for sure, from grad school, with a clinical psychology degree, and my license to practice. Which I gotta pass like two different tests for that, but have my license to practice, and then be practicing in a couple different states, or wherever the state that I'm gonna be living at. I probably also have a ministry job as well. So yeah, I probably see myself as like a youth pastor or a young adult pastor, things like that.
What do you plan on doing with your clinical psychology degree in the long run?
In the long run, like I said, my interest is in dance. So, a real big interest that I'm really, really involved with is bringing dance into therapeutic settings. I plan to do my thesis on how dance therapy affects African Americans and stress management. So I plan to do my thesis on that. So how dance therapy could, be the bridge between African Americans and psychotherapy. African Americans utilize psychotherapy less than any other race. But we mostly identify with dance more than any other race. Cookouts, we dance and doing line dances. We at weddings doing line dances. We in so many different places doing dances and things like that. We associate dance with just happy stuff. So it's like, okay, but none of us want to, quote unquote, tell people our business in therapy and things like that. But what if we step by step inch our way into therapy by starting with something that we already, we already used to. We used to dance, but what makes it dance therapy is when you recognize it's therapy. You know what I'm saying? So like us talking right now could be therapeutic, but it ain't therapy until I go to a therapist and I recognize that this is therapy. I'm doing this for therapy. Then it becomes therapy. Because we've already been using dance as a therapeutic way. When in stressful times, so many people dance and it helps them. That's therapeutic. And they don't become dance therapy until you recognize the therapy before the dance, if that makes sense.
It can be many ways.
Yeah. And so that's a real big interest of mine. It's like, how can we bring dance and therapy and we make it appealing for African Americans to where they trust therapy, they trust psychotherapy, they trust, this whole mental health aspect. And so that's a big focus. That's something that I want to focus on.
Has there been research into your thesis?
Yeah, actually, I've already done a 25-page paper on it for my midterm of last year. Whew, that 25 crazy. I can't, and that for a midterm too. So it's like you don't got the whole time, and at the end you got to submit a 30-page, so you got to add 5 to what you already put 25. So I got to put all my thoughts into this 25, and I got to go for another 5. But I'm, hoping that that's something to pick up. I want to do a lot of things in psychology. There's so many things that I want to do, like. I want to get into with athletes, like get in that athlete field. And what I really want to do is
we can collab on that, bro. Like
for sure, yeah.
Like I got an athletic background. I started all of this stuff like through my depression, like not being appreciated.
Yeah.
I should be appreciated when I started attracting a lot of athletes that went through it. So beyond the interview, and then we can collab. And I know a lot of athletes that's going to the league, that's in college. I work with a lot of youth. We can do that. So we can be locked in, bro.
Definitely. Cause really, one focus I know a lot of athletes deal with is in their recovery from an injury. So one thing that I really would love for me to focus on is if I could have one-on-ones or just conversations with athletes who are injured and who are recovering. And those one-on-ones, let them know that, hey, look, understand there's a physical part. This is a mental battle. This is a mental, if I feel like I can really shift, like this is how much I believe in this, I say real bold statements. I say real bold statements. I feel like I can shift the productivity of athletes by letting them know and walking through, certain one-on-ones and certain exercises of them recognizing their recovery process just as much as a mental process as it is a physical. Now a lot of them know it's mental, but all their money go into the trainers. And then the mental was like, also with those trainers. So now you got people who's trained to get you back right physically, trying to help you mentally. Like no, let them do their job. But have a mental, have somebody as a professional on the mental side come in and walk you through certain exercises and certain things to get you back. Because a lot of people, they come back healthy, but they don't come back whole. They come back healthy. You're healthy, but you're not this old.
Yeah.
People was like, oh, maybe you lost it. No, he lost it here. She lost it here. So how are they going to recover? And so then you start seeing people recover. Oh, they still got it. 2, 3, like maybe 1 year go by, and then you like, oh, that's the one I'm used to seeing. Oh, that's the one. That's the one we see. D Rose dropped career high, dropped 50. We like, whoa. Before he was hurt, D Rose and he dropped 50. Well, I feel like D Rose really got to a great mental space where it's like, I trust these knees.
That's true though. Yeah, because a lot of people once they get hurt fast, once they get hurt first, it's like, man, you still thinking about the same injury. Yeah, that's right though. Everything, I feel like your mind is your heart.
Yeah.
So you can control that. You can control the subconscious. Good.
Bro. And that's why I love psychology, bro, because I always been an advocate for like, if I can't use what I'm learning, why am I learning it?
Exactly.
Like, why am I learning it? There's so many math classes I've been, I'm like, yo, I have yet to use that. I've yet to use. Yeah. But it's like, you know what, I understand the process of learning, things like that. So cool, I learn it. But thing I love about psychology is you can learn something one day and use it when you leave class. And so one thing I literally learned this week is, you talking about the mind and things like this, the most effective drug we have, bro, is called a placebo. Placebo is, we give you medication, but the medication doesn't do, it doesn't really make the change. So say I give you what I would say, this is an antidepressant, it's gonna make you feel better. And you come back, like, hey, I feel better. It's like, good, the medicine worked. But in reality, we didn't put anything into, we just gave you pills.
It's all mine.
Yeah, we just gave you pills. The most effective treatment is that. And this is statistically, bro. This is not me just saying, hey, just because of the mind. It's like I'm saying, bro, from people with PhDs, PsyDs, all these people with doctoral degrees say, hey, this is our most effective treatment for any disease. It's the ones where we don't even give you anything and your belief heals you. And that's crazy. That's crazy. And it's crazy. That really, that reminds me of like a story in the Bible. It's like the woman with the issue of blood. And man, like Jesus was walking through. He was on his way to heal somebody else. She done had this issue for years. Jesus walking through. He trying to just get to where he going. She like, I don't even gotta talk to him. Everybody want to talk to him. Everybody want him to touch me this way. Everybody want to do this. Look, if I could just get a piece of his garment, I know I'm gonna be good. I didn't try to go to all these other doctors. I didn't try to do all this thing that I couldn't do. They said, like the Bible said, that she had tried many doctors, many different types of medicines. None of them worked. She heard about Jesus. She heard he was coming through. She said, I just got to touch the hem of his garment. Boom, she reached out. She got close enough to Jesus. She's trying to push through people around her, like clowning her, saying all type of stuff to her, and she's just trying to push through the people, push through what the naysayers and everything. I'm just trying to get to Jesus. Boom, grabs the hem of his garment. And she's healed like that. And Jesus don't even know. Like, she gets healed, and Jesus is like, wait, I just felt virtue leave me. Wait, I need everybody to stop. I know we're on the way somewhere. Somebody just touched me. Jesus, you walking through a crowd, everybody touch you. You're like, no, somebody touched me in a deep place. I just felt power leave me, like somebody. And what he said to the woman when he talked to her, it wasn't like your faith has healed you. He didn't say, hey, I put my hand on you because I'm Jesus and I just healed you. He's like, no, you already knew that I could heal you. Your belief, your faith healed you. Your faith healed you. And so that's kind of what I feel like literally, statistically, it says your faith heals you. Statistically, it says your faith heals you, bro. Statistically, it says when you go home and you believe this medicine gonna work, it's gonna work. But if you really, really believe, you really have faith in the medicine, it's gonna work.
Wow. And they know that's like the mind, they know it. Nah, that just made me think though, that story right there, that just made me think like, because my mother, she beat cancer in the first year. But she was more, through that process, she was more faithful than anything. Really tapped in really deep. She was already a spiritual person. But it was just that the faith relieved the stress. And it was stress what caused the cancer. Yeah. And it relieved that. So I was like, basically I seen it in action. Yeah. Just the faith does heal. Yeah,
it really does. Like, personally, bro. Personally, faith is like, I can honestly say that I've experienced a miracle in my life. But what's crazy is how God works is, for me, as public as my brokenness was as public as my healing was. So I broke my knee publicly. Not a lot of people knew I did it, but it was at the time I did the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated pageant. And at the time I did it with the guy Ant. He was the president of the 100 Black Men at the time, the Collegiate 100 now. But it was 100 Black Men then. And so he was like, hey, I want you to teach the Collegiate 100 a mime for our Arts, Beats, and Eats event at Central. So we usually always sing a gospel song, but I want to do something different. I want you to teach them a mime. I said, cool. Boom. Spent about a month with him, practicing twice a week. So like we spend hours making sure we get this choreography down. And so, and it's all people who ain't mime before, but I teach them to mime. But I'm doing it with them, of course. And I'm doing the leads and stuff like that. So then we get out and do it. We get out there and do it. I'll never forget this, bro. Cause we're doing the Touch Your Bet song. It starts off with I want it all back. And so it starts off, if you want it all back, jump to your feet right now, right? So that's my part. And they don't even start coming in yet. So if you want it all back, jump to your feet right now. I jump up for that part. Jump up high. My legs come up higher than I thought. I was in the air. I was like, ooh, I done got up. You know them times. Hey, you know them times when you get up higher than you thought, you like, hold up. And so I'm thinking I'm cool, so I don't put my feet under me. I just kind of let them, because I'm higher than. I'm like, well, my feet just gonna go there. I usually put my feet under me. So like, they gonna slide down. So I come down at an angle, boom, I buckle and I fall, I catch myself. And right when I fell, it's like people always told me, like, when you break something, you gonna know. I was like, ain't no way I'm gonna know. Yeah, I just broke my knee. I knew for a fact. I'm like, I just broke my knee. I got 5 minutes and 30 seconds of the song left. Boom, I get up. Boom, boom, boom. Start doing the move. I'm still into it. We're at the beginning. The chorus ain't even started. It's still instrumental. And so I'm like, all right, bet. So what I do is I keep going. Like I want to scream, especially when I came down and I tried to move on it. So I just like, I'm literally up there, still, because it's an entrance. It's an entrance step I taught them. So we're not doing too much choreography. And I was like, look, if I can get down these steps, it's gonna be hell trying to get down these steps. But if I can get down these steps, I could just go ahead and get it out the way, and I could do the whole thing on the floor. And so I'm like, all right, bet. And so I started praying. I said, God, you know, like, I'm gonna start it off like this. God, you know me. You know I'm finishing. You know I'm not the walk off stage guy. You made me like that. So I'm not coming to you about that. I just need you to make this pain bearable till these boys counting on me. To be there to lead them right now in this moment. So I'm like, look, I'm not even telling you to take the pain away. Make it bearable so that I can finish. It ain't about me. It's about there's people depending on me right now. And my pain has nothing to do with, you know, my leadership. So it's like, boom. Let me get down these steps and let me finish this piece. I say I was in pain probably for like the next 5 to 10 seconds. 10 seconds hit right before the chorus come in. I feel a shift on my knee. Still painful, but it's bearable. I can walk on it and move. I'm like, bet, let's go get it. And I go get it, cause like whenever something happened in the middle of me, like trying to give God the glory, then I feel like that's the enemy trying to attack me, you know, and trying to like get me down. But see, like my mindset different, so it's like when you try to mess with me, and I'm already trying to do something for God, and then now you trying to sabotage it. You feel me? That bring out that dog in me even more. It's like, now I'm really on your head. If I wasn't on your head before, now I'm really about to give it all I got. And so I finished that. I lost the video, but I finished that whole thing, and like I still don't know how I finished it. You know, went to the back and walked off everything. Went to the back, put my leg up. It was a wrap. I could barely get my pants off. My knee was so swollen. Went to urgent care the next day. Said I broke my tibia, and I'm like, I tell the doctor, I'm like, look, we got this big conference that we do, this big mom conference. It's like, this is the biggest gospel mom conference in the world, sir. And me and my family hosted it. We built this conference over time. It's like, this conference is in 8 weeks. Am I gonna be off the crutches in 8 weeks? He said, you would need to dance again, you need to be fully recovered. And so this is around January. And it was like, look, you're not gonna be off the crutches in 8 weeks. You're probably gonna be off the crutches from 10 to 12 weeks. You're not gonna be back dancing until August. So he told me straight up. So okay. Left. Started Googling. started researching. Cause I asked him, I was like, okay, when can I start rehab? When can I start working out? It's like, he was like, you can't. You cannot work out. So I can't start working out now. It's like, no. But okay. Come to see him 2 weeks later. Asked him, hey, can I start working out? Starting physical therapy. He's like, no, I'll let you know when you get on physical therapy. I go do some research, and I see, okay, your tibias, your bones, the foundational healing part takes place within the first 2 weeks. So I'm like, all right, boom, 2 weeks over. I'm about to go to the gym myself. And so that was the first time in my life I went to the gym every day. Cause I'm like, 8 weeks, it go back to that same thing that got me here. I got people depending on me. I'm making this choreography for this conference. I got people, you know, I'm teaching every Tuesday and Saturday to these people from a chair still with my crutches. But I'm like, they need me. They need me full strength for 8 weeks. So we're going to get it done. So I was doing leg workouts, searching for what targets the muscles around your knees, strengthen it, and boom. By the time I get to my first, I say like 3 weeks later, I say 3 weeks later, it's like we got 2 weeks until the conference. And so now he want to put me in physical therapy. I was like, okay, cool. I go to physical therapy. By then I'd already been working on my knee for about 5-6 weeks every day. And so we get to physical therapy. I tell my physical therapist, I was like, I don't think I need to be on the crutches no more. I can walk, like my knee is strong. I was like, I can walk. It's still like slight pain, but it's bearable. I was like, but you know, if I gotta use the bathroom, I can walk back and forth, stuff like that. I was like, I'm good. She's like, okay, look, I'm gonna put you through a series of workouts. If you can do all the workouts, I'll clear you out the crutches today. I was like, all right, bet. We started doing the workouts. She did every workout that I've been doing in my personal time. She did every workout. So I'm like, oh, this is easy. I'm over here pushing it. Like, so it was easy. This is easy work. She cleared me off the crutches that day. I went to practice the next day. Did the whole conference the next week. I got a whole week to prepare. And because it was other choreography I had to learn that my brothers and them was making up. So learned that choreography, did the conference. And then when I actually got up there, because that night I was doing something by myself as well, that first night. And when I went up there to do it, it was I felt like super, it was literally like an angel was up there with me, honestly making sure because I was up there jumping on my knee, I just had faith, I'm healed. I'm healed.
Yeah.
So I got up there and I mined I was healed. I went 100% and no harm came to me. And so I was like, and people were there to witness, there were doctors who saw me up there and knew when I got injured, who were in my family, and doctors who were at the conference. And they said, there's no way you're supposed to still be spinning and jumping like that. Medically, there is no way you have that mobility. Medically, you're not supposed to be able to jump around the stage like that. Medically, you're not supposed to be able to run around nobody sanctuary. And so that, even for them knowing the knowledge, was a bigger miracle for them, because I know for a fact that this is God.
Yeah, they ain't have the power. Man don't have the power.
And so, yeah, bro, I've experienced firsthand, look, your faith heals you.
Yeah.
I've experienced it, and after that, I really felt, hey, ain't nothing I can't do. I beat my biological system. I beat, what I'm saying? With God, I'm I can do anything.
Yeah.
So,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So, the whole conversation, what I got out of it, you can create your own destiny, your own reality. You have the power to do that.
Yeah, I feel how people ask, is it free will or predestined? There's a big battle of controversy. And so, me believing in how I believe, in my faith, things like that, I say, as a Christian, I have to believe in both. If I believe in God, I gotta believe both exist. Because that's the character of God. The character of God is both free will and the character of God is predestined. So I believe God has a place that He wants for each and every individual. But every individual can die and not reach the place God wants them. It's predestined, but you have free will. And so just a quick little, backstory on free will. The whole reason God made it says in the Bible, the whole reason God made humans so that He can have people that choose Him. The Bible says, hey, the winds and the waves already obey me. The rocks obey me. The animals obey me. I'm creating man because I want something that's going to choose to obey me.
That's correct. Yeah.
And so that's, and so He created humans to choose Him. So that's why it's why is there bad in the world if there's a God in the world? Because He gave you the ability to choose. So there's people who chose bad. That's why bad is in the world. Because you have the choice of bad. You have the choice of good. And then it's you got to choose to go the way God wants you to go. But if you don't, then cool, you still get a life. But you know what I'm saying? You just don't get the benefits of what He already predestined for you because you didn't choose it. But they both exist. You get to choose whether you want what was predestined for you or not. That's what I believe. And so, even with other things, I like talking to people who don't believe what I believe, actually.
You can learn from a lot.
What? I learn the most from people who are not Christians. Cause they be on their stuff.
Yeah.
Because they want to get them Christians right. Like, look, they be on their stuff because they like, look, I need to be ready for when them Christians come for me. Because really, you can really catch a lot of Christians slipping, not really knowing, they stuff. So,
that's in every religion though.
Yeah.
I grew up in the house with both. Like, I'm actually Muslim.
Word.
But I have the same, like it's not the same, but it's like
we
all connected. We all connected.
Very similar, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just God. You gotta believe in a higher power.
And so I've learned so much from different variety of religions, even atheists. I've sat down with some atheists, and they really helped me see,
Like why they think the way they think.
And I know an atheist who grew up Christian his whole life, and just boom, atheist. And I know, he grew up Christian his entire life, and then he got to a point where he had a traumatic experience in the church, and was like, I'm gonna try to go my own way. And so, I can respect that. At the end of the day, it gotta be your decision. If you're gonna choose a religion, it gotta be your decision at the end of the day. And it's always gonna be your decision. And so there's been people who came to me who questioned there's been Christians who came to me who supposedly believe the same thing, but questioned the validity of the Bible because, they heard something. So they weren't rooted in their foundation. They heard something from somebody in another religion and kind of, pushed them. And so there's so one time it's like, what? Don't you feel like Christianity is a white man's religion?
A lot of people.
Yeah. And so how? So and people they'll say that to me like, well, how do you follow Christianity and the Bible and
not knowing that?
Yeah.
That's just every religion, even in Islam, like you have to know Christianity to be a good Muslim.
And so it's crazy when even when when people question me, it's like, the Bible, they use the Bible to make slaves, to basically manipulate slaves and things like that. And so I kind of use this analogy. I was like, here is you can really use it with anything. I could use it with say the bottle. Say a bottle you have, or that glass, or anything. And so the bottle was meant to be poured in a cup, poured in a glass, with the contents of the Bible, the contents of the bottle was used to, you pour some wine, chill, relax. The contents of what's in it was meant for all of, good intent, right? But somebody can take that same bottle, bust you over the head with it, stab you in your heart with it, and kill you with it. Basically what I'm saying is, just because something can be manipulated into a weapon doesn't mean its initial intent was a weapon.
I like this dude.
just because somebody weaponizes something doesn't mean it was meant to be a weapon. A pen was meant to write. A pen could also kill you through the heart. People look at knives as weapons. What was the original intent for a knife?
To cut something.
It's supposed to be a tool. Now we capitalize off people's off people thinking that it's a weapon, that we sell it as a weapon. Now it's a weapon. And we made it a weapon. We weaponized the knife. Even things that are dangerous, we weaponized it. Its original intent was not to, you know, even like the weapons that we really think about, machete. You know what I'm saying? There's stuff that their original intent wasn't. There's some weapons whose original intent was to be a weapon, but that's what I use that to say the Bible initial intent was not to be a weapon, but people chose because they get choice. The predestination was for it to be a tool to save and remind people of the goodness of God. People chose to take that Bible, turn it into a weapon, and oppress an entire race for years. Doesn't mean the content of the Bible is a weapon. It just means that someone chose to use it wrong, and I'm choosing to use it for good. That's the difference. And another thing about, really quickly, about when people ask me about, well, how do you know what's in it is true? And I said, well, you're not asking me a Bible question, you're asking me a God question. You think you're asking me a Bible question, you're not asking me a Bible question. You're asking me a God question. You're asking me about how I view God. You're not asking me how I view the Bible. Because if I believe the Bible is God's word, then, if I believe my God is omnipotent, I believe He's all powerful, all knowing. That means I believe, because I'm like, even people that are in my faith, sometimes I don't think that everybody as a Christian believes in an omnipotent God because of the questions. So I'm like, wait, if you really realize that you serve an omnipotent God, you think, this is what I believe personally, I'm just going to say what I believe. I believe that God calculated slavery. He calculated the manipulation. I believe God is just so smart. He's just so powerful that He calculated every possibility. And even for the misinterpretations of the Bible, this is still going to be used. And He formed it in the words and even with the translations from so many things where there are words that are in Hebrew that don't translate to English. God did that on purpose. It was something, I feel like, look, God is, how big God is. I get excited talking about it. I feel like He's just like this big dog, this big mastermind, putting stuff together, all of this is going to work out. And I understand this word don't translate to this word, but this group of people need that word, and this group of people don't really need that word. You know what I'm saying? So it's I feel like God is just like this big mastermind, just pulling strings, and so He's just so powerful. So it's when you ask me, do you believe the content of the Bible? Well, how does this happen? Because He's all powerful. That's how. Because He spoke to every person who wrote it. And what about the parts of the Bible that weren't included? I get thrown with all this stuff. And because there are many chapters of the Bible that didn't make the cut. Well, what about those chapters and those things in the Bible? I'm like, well, it's not a secret because you know about it. And I know about it. You know what I mean? That means we can read those, and guess what? We can still hear the same voice. So it's if anything, you showing me that there are missing chapters of the Bible just go further and proves the omnipotence of God. You just told me that there are missing parts of the Bible that you know. You think He didn't calculate that? He's smarter than you. You didn't think that means He knows how smart you are. That means He knew you was going to find it. And that you were going to find something in there that blessed you. So He put that, that predestination and chose. You chose to go and seek and find it, and you found it. And then you started going through it, and then boom, something hit you I needed that. I was like, I knew you would need that. So I ain't included it because I knew you wouldn't like this. You probably would blame that on the white man's religion, but I knew you would go look at this one. So I'm still speaking to you. I'm just speaking to you through a different book. At the end of the day, His will is still being done. Yeah. But I knew, the Bible says, He knew you before you knew yourself. So it's I knew because of what they did with slavery and how it was manipulated to a weapon that you wouldn't trust the Bible. But I knew that because they didn't use those to manipulate your race, that you would trust these other chapters that are quote unquote hidden, but you found them. So you go ahead and start reading that, and I'm gonna still bless you through that, because I knew you wasn't gonna deal with that. And then maybe the revelation from this kind of strengthens your faith enough to go back to it. You know, and so it's like, you know, so it's like, that's kind of how I believe, you know, like I feel like, man, God is, you know, even before there were strings with us, for us to play with, he had already pulled them and put them in place. So anytime we pull the string, it's like, he's just a mastermind throwing things in there. It's just like, if I think about the character of God, it's just almost mind blowing. I can't even really fully imagine it. How he's so personal with every individual, but also everywhere. Like it's just, you know. So yeah, man. That's my spiel on that for sure.
Any shout outs you wanna have, man? Like shout outs, collaborations that you look to collaborate with, or like people you want to collaborate with. Any shout outs?
I give a shout out first and foremost to my parents and people who brought me into this world. Shout out to my girlfriend for just being, you know, all I could ask for and more. I want to give a shout out to you know, any church that I've ever walked in, you know, any pastor that I've ever heard, anybody that's ever, you know, done anything for me. But yeah, man, I definitely look. I'm about bold statements. Like I want to have conversations with so many different people that aren't used to having people like me on their set. Like I want to be on I Am Athlete. I'm putting it on right there. And I'm not, you know, I ain't even that athlete, but boom, I'm a dancer. So can dancers be athletes? I Am Athlete. What's up? You know, I want to be on, you know, these shake the culture in a way, you know, $1 million with the game, or anything, you know, them like that. Like, have somebody that maybe your audience ain't used to, maybe your audience needs.